What's up, everybody?
What's up? Welcome to Tug of More.
Welcome to Tug of More. Last week on the Tug of More, we had our Thanksgiving episode.
Thankful conversation, and then we brought pie.
But right now,
from our Thanksgiving, but really we just stole it from the kitchen at church.
Yeah, no. So right now it's Wednesday, and so our student ministry youth group is getting ready to have a, what do they call it?
Youthsgiving.
Youthsgiving. Okay, Youthsgiving.
It's like a play on the Friendsgiving thing.
And so Bailey,
this pie.
Bailey made pie. She said she liked to make pie. I didn't know Bailey even knew how to make pie.
Yeah, she does.
So we demanded that she cut her pie up and to give it to us because we needed it as a prop.
We said, can we please get a prop? And she said, am I allowed to say no? And we said, no.
And let me just tell you something. Whitney should never be allowed to cut pie.
Hey, it's a hard...
Bailey made
cut a sliver, and I don't know
Bailey
how.
made these beautiful pies, and then Whitney went in there, and it looks like a Sasquatch cut some pie pieces out. You destroyed them.
Yeah, it was very good.
Mukbang.
I love pie. Golly, this is really good.
If you guys are only listening to the Tug of More, you're really missing out.
Yeah, it probably sounds horrible because they
the action is on YouTube.
Oh man.
So what's your favorite kind of pie?
Oh, good question. I like a chocolate pie a lot, which I'm grateful for because it's here. I think coconut pie would probably be one of my favorite, but there's two different types of pies. And so I have to determine, am I talking about a fruit pie or am I talking about like a cream pie? Because those are different. Okay.
What?
But I'm saying like, I have to decide if I like a creamy consistency type pie or a fruit pie because I don't know. They're different. They're different to me. They're not the same. One is like this, like all, I don't know, has no structure.
I don't know if any of this is going to be usable on the actual podcast.
What? It's great. We're just talking. Why are you getting...
Can I tell my pie story?
Yes.
Have you heard my pie story?
Yes, you can 100% tell your... You can 100% tell your pie story. This is the Tug of More. We can do whatever we want on Tug of More.
So growing up in church, our church would do a fundraiser every Thanksgiving, and they would do a pie auction.
Okay, but my church also would do the same. And they still do it, actually, to this day.
Maybe we should do a pie auction.
Really?
Bring back that old school,
I'm telling you,
school vibes.
My pastor's wife would make an apple pie, and her husband will pay $1,500 for it every time. Because the money's just going to missions. It's not really for the pie.
Right. So
Holy cow, this pie is good.
So the premise of a church, Bailey needs a good man.
Oh, we're into a Bailey auction?
Bailey
She's gonna get real
Bailey
mad.
loves Jesus.
She does.
She's beautiful, and she just proved that she can make some pies.
So our pie auction does not just auction the pie, it also auctions the pie maker.
The pie maker.
You get one date with the pie maker.
That would get us canceled real fast.
Yeah,
okay.
real fast.
So my church growing up would do a pie auction, and people would bring pies, and then you would bid on them. But all the money went to missions.
Yeah.
So like they got missionaries there, you know, and so it's like for a good cause. Right. It's just kind of fun.
That's exactly what my church did.
And so they asked me to be the auctioneer. Well, I don't know nothing about being an auctioneer. I'm just some kid.
And you don't know much about pie except
I don't know much about pies except eating them. And so I'm just full of energy, you know. And so I'm up there doing my intro. Welcome to the pie auction, everybody, here at Trinity, Mount Morris, Michigan. So excited that you're here. It's pie auction time. Who's ready to spend some money for missions on some pies? Yeah, Truston, we're ready. We're ready to buy some pies. I said, man, so I go over the table.
One of your greatest moments of your life. You're so excited.
And sure. I got one of those mics that still has a cord on it.
Of course.
And so I got the cord whipping back and forth.
I know. I was going to say, you're whipping it while you walk with
Yeah, and so I'm like, man, look at all these pies. We got pies all over the place. Now, I have a plan in my mind of what I'm going to do. And I got to tell you, I was a little sheltered as a kid. I'm a little innocent. I'm innocent. I'm a little sheltered.
Oh, I just got a picture from Bailey that says y'all started something you can't finish, and it's all the people she's having to push away from the pie.
No, tell Bailey, mi amo el jefe.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I loved The Rock.
Yep. Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
This is before he was, an actor. He's only a wrestler.
The wrestler, yeah.
Straight eyebrow. Easton, go to this other camera. Go to my camera. The eyebrow, right? And so I'm all about The Rock. I had the sideburns and everything.
Yeah.
And so I have a plan on what I'm going to do at this pie auction. I'm like, look at all these. We got apple pie. We got cherry pie. We got chocolate pie. We got Reese's peanut butter pie. But then I get into the peas. We got pumpkin pie. We got
pumpernickel
pie. No, what's the one with the nuts? Pecan. We got pecan pie.
Pecan. Yeah.
And I'm getting ready to land it in one of The Rock's things that he said.
can't
Now, I'm a
believe you
sheltered
said
kid.
this,
I'm
yeah.
a sheltered kid. I don't even know what it means. We got pumpkin pie. We got pecan pie. We even got some poutine pie. I didn't know what it was.
I can't believe you
But
said
I yelled poutine pie in front of the whole church. And the good thing is the old people didn't know what the junk I was talking about, but all my friends fell out of the chair. My friend Jeff Haddon, well, he watches Tug of War. Jeff, you know it's true. He was there when I yelled poutine pie. And so yeah, then we auctioned off
Did
some
you get in
pies.
trouble?
No, my pastor didn't know what that was.
Your parents didn't know either.
No,
So nobody knew.
No,
only you and your boys. Well,
Yeah.
you didn't even know at the
No,
time.
I didn't even know until later because I was sheltered and honest and not looking at pornography yet.
Oh.
And so,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So I didn't really have a full comprehension of what he was happening.
It was hilarious.
And so yeah, we raised some money for missions.
What's your favorite kind of pie? You didn't answer for you.
Oh, dude, there's not much. I'll tell you this. There's certain pies I don't like.
Yeah, there was a blueberry pie in there, and you said, I do not want any of that.
No, I don't want blueberry. I like a good apple pie.
Yeah.
But for me, apple pie only wins a la mode.
Yeah.
So I need some.
This is what I'm saying. There's certain like context of pies, and it matters.
Yeah. So I want some ice cream with my pie. So I really like apple, and then a good chocolate pie. But my mom makes this lemon pie. Good God Almighty. That's the stuff.
No,
it's real good.
so good. Okay. Well, if you had Thanksgiving, didn't eat pie, that sucks to be you because pie is the best. And
Well, good job.
Well, no, yeah, good job, but is
The
it
average
good
American
job?
gains 5 pounds between Halloween and Christmas.
Well, what you should do is lose some weight. Then when you gain it back at the holiday.
It's easier said than done, ma'am.
I know. Same, bro.
Easier said than done.
Just saying, do as I say, not as I do.
Okay, what are we
talking about today?
Well, okay, so if you are new to the Tug of War, this is not a pie review
No.
podcast. Yes,
That would not be a bad idea.
But yes, really, we're just two people. They're friends.
That's right.
That are also in ministry together.
Yep.
And feel this deep desire, understanding, belief that God has called us to something great.
Right. There's a tug, there's a tension, a fight between where we are and where we want to be.
Yeah.
And that's the tug of war.
And so you have played Tug of War.
Right.
But if you're a type A or even whatever the other types are,
B,
driven
the
person,
other.
you're now playing the tug of more.
Right.
Where you are and where you want to be, and we're trying to tug into it. Okay, I'm either going to have to eat this pie
You just
real
eat
fast.
it and talk.
Yeah, but I'm distracted.
You always tell me when we eat and meet. So if we're having a meeting while we're eating, you always say, "Whitney, friends can eat in front of each other," because I'm not good at it. But these are our friends, so we're just eating
Whitney's
in front
the
of
worst.
them. We're just eating in front of
If
them.
we're having an meeting while we're eating,
I just type and talk and don't eat. But
wait a second.
What?
I'm the one who mostly types. I'm your secretary.
that's true. We have
meeting today. Who typed?
Yeah, I didn't even bring my laptop.
Didn't even bring a laptop.
That was just because I was hungry and forgot.
Whitney's just Truston secretary. I wish.
You wish.
I'm typing for myself. Typos, no commas,
Hey, that's good.
all the things.
So, wait, what are we talking? What we're talking today about? Well, we've gotten in this conversation lately a lot because we're hearing it a lot, and I think what we're recognizing is for us, it was something that we couldn't fully identify. We couldn't fully identify for us in our youth. Some hurt that was caused in our church setting. Maybe it was culturally, maybe it was some theology things, maybe it was some misunderstandings of scripture, but there was some hurt that was caused in us in the churches, not even the churches we grew up in, but the church, big C church culture that we grew up in, and then maybe churches that we've worked in and been a part of in the past. And yet now we're identifying, okay, this has now become a buzzword. Church hurt has become a buzzword
Church
right
hurt.
now everywhere. And you see people talking about it. You were telling me today about somebody that walked through church hurt. Are you going to be able to find it or what?
No,
you're not. I thought you were going to find the post.
My back pocket was.
But like, it's a conversation we've been having. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm now 40.
Yeah.
Which means I'm not
almost.
I'm not a kid.
Right.
Right. And so what's happened is I see generations of people I know under me, and they're all now recently starting to say the same thing.
Right.
I got people that are my age that are dropping out of ministry because of church hurt.
And out of Jesus.
And out of Jesus.
Right.
The relationship with God because of church hurt.
Yeah.
Hurt that occurred in the church. And I've got people that were like in their mid-late 20s, early 30s that are younger than me.
Yeah.
That they are ejecting from their calling because they were hurt in a church.
Yeah.
Now, we're not downplaying the reality of church hurt.
No.
So like, I know that we're here eating pie as being kind of goofy, and we'll probably hit a sugar high here any moment.
Right.
But we're not downplaying the severity of church hurt.
You've been deeply hurt by people in ministry, by church culture, organization. I've been deeply hurt by...
I have not only been hurt, I am actively being hurt.
Yeah.
I not only have scars, I have knives currently wedged between my shoulder blades from last week.
It's true. No,
like, honestly,
no, it's true.
It's not like church hurt is just this one-time big explosive.
No,
I was taken advantage of. It's not just that. It's just that people suck.
Yeah, yeah. But you just said the word that I think is an important piece of what people are not talking about that is causing this huge movement of church hurt to be kind of detrimental to the body of Christ, to people's calling, to their relationship with God, and it's that people suck.
Yeah,
God doesn't suck.
No.
And the truth is, the entire organization of church doesn't suck.
Right.
It's just that church is run by people.
God has this very difficult job, and that is to get his message of good news out through broken disasters.
Yeah, through those of us.
That's me.
Who have fallen from perfection, and that's every human that exists.
Yeah. We're his only option.
That's all he has.
I mean, I guess that he could send angels down and ask angels to do the job, but that would not be free choice.
Right.
So by the fact that we have free choice to choose God, he's working with us. He's working with a B team. We're all a bunch of scrubs. And so along the way, people have hurt us.
Yeah.
Where do we even start, man? Okay, so maybe we start here. If you are watching this and you've been hurt by the church, or maybe someone that you know sent you this link, because they want you to watch it because they know that you've suffered with some church hurt, can I first, as a senior pastor, just say, man, I'm really sorry that happened.
Yeah.
Like, that sucks. I'm sorry that you were taken advantage of or lied to. Manipulated.
Talked bad about.
I'm like, I really, that's not lip service. I really am sorry that you're hurt. And like that those people did you wrong.
Absolutely.
And now at this age, man, I've been really hurt in church.
Yeah.
And you know what? There's a list of people that would put my name
100%
on the one who hurt them.
Absolutely, me too.
And I don't think there's anything that's stressed me out or hurt me more than knowing that that's true.
Yeah.
There are people that I know, decisions that I've made that I have hurt them.
Yeah.
And it's my greatest regret. You know what I mean?
But I think it's important to identify what you're talking about as a person. If you say, okay, I have church hurt, or, oh, I have been hurt in the church. I've been hurt by the church. I've been hurt. What was the hurt? What was it actually caused? What was the circumstance? Identifying it, because the truth of the matter is, if we just go from church to church to church because of our church hurt, it's likely the offense is just following us, and that we're going to end up getting hurt again for one of two reasons. One, because people are people and they're going to disappoint us. But two, is because we are people too. And so the people being hurt, if we don't deal with that, we're going to end up feeling hurt again. Once you have a bruise and you get hit, it hurts even more if you barely get tapped. But also then hurt people. We're going to end up causing hurt.
Yeah.
And like it or not, that's what happens if we don't deal with it. So I think it's important to talk about in a couple of different veins of like, what did it look like for you? And maybe we just share a couple of stories, but then how do you deal with it? What do you do to move on from it? How do you identify and separate the difference between people and God, people in the church, people in this great organization that I believe God really, I believe in the power of the local church.
The only thing that Jesus left was the church.
Yeah.
It's the organization that he came, he established, he created, he sent his disciples to go and build. He said that because of him, the gates will not prevail against it.
Right.
Jesus is actively in heaven building the church. It's what he left. and he has to work with a bunch of scrubs down here.
Right.
And so because of that, we end up getting in tiffs with each other. You look at like a bunch of the New Testament letters that Paul wrote to New Testament churches, and back then, they start dealing with drama. You know when it started? My dad said this to me the other day. He said that the drama in church started the minute it started to grow and money got involved.
Yeah.
The minute money got involved in the church, remember they had Paul's talking about how you can't have these people feeding who's getting the most money of the ladies with no husbands, and all the chaos started arising once it became an organization. Once money is now have to be distributed.
Right.
And it's hurtful.
Yeah.
Hurt happens.
And I can hear the deconstructionist type people who are like, yeah, but does the church really look like what Jesus intended the church to look like back then when he left? And like, is it really supposed to be? But look, today, the church that we have is the church that we have. The way church is the way it is. And so like for people who eject and are not a part of a local church organization because of hurt, and then coupled with, well, I don't even think it looks like that. Hey, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Well, let me fight the deconstructionist just a little bit.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, something I loved to do is to take stuff apart.
Yeah.
And my dad would go to like pawn shop and buy like a
radio,
a weed eater.
Right.
Or I took apart a camera and a radio. And you know what I was really good at doing? Taking it all the way apart. Mm-hmm. But you know what I could never do? Put it back together.
Put that junk back together, right.
I remember him specifically give me this camera that had all these mechanisms in it. And I took it all apart and I had all the gears and everything all laid out. There's no way in God's green earth I could put it all back together. So, cool that people are having all these conversations deconstructing. The question that I would ask is, well, then what would you rebuild?
Correct.
Because I don't think...
Careful if you're going to take it all apart.
It's what you're saying, like, it is what it is.
Yeah, because you just...
So instead of tearing it all down, maybe we should not defund the police, but maybe we should reform the police.
Right. But
no, I'm saying it's easy to just throw rocks when you've never built anything. And so, like, okay, cool. The church is doing a bunch wrong.
Right.
Cool. There's hurt in church. Okay.
Well...
But let's not just deconstruct it and call it worthless.
But you just said it.
Let's work on rebuilding it.
Your dad would go to the pawn shop.
He would go buy something of no value.
Something used that was broken anyway, didn't work anyway, had no value anyway. The church has value regardless of...
Tons. I got testimonies for days of life changing.
Regardless of the hurt. That's why I'm like, I believe in the local church. I've been hurt in church, and yet the local church saved my life.
Yeah.
I believe deeply in it, and yet... I understand that there are pieces that are not perfect, but there's so much value there. And so careful to unpack something. Your dad would have been ticked if you'd have taken apart the family camera.
Oh, for sure.
You were allowed to take apart the camera he got you at the thrift store that didn't work.
Yeah.
But if you'd taken apart the family camera that captures Christmas, bro, be careful because you're about to be in trouble. And I think that's the part of like, we're quick to tear it apart and not understand the great value and great responsibility in trying to tear that apart, that you better be willing to put it back together. Anyway, go on. Keep moving.
Let's start with some church hurt. Bailey said something to me while we were stealing her pie.
Yes.
She said, well, careful as you talk about church hurt, because really hurt is hurt.
Yeah.
So like, it's what you said. If you were hurt somewhere, you might be looking for an offense. And like, I've got car dealership hurt.
Right.
I've got restaurant hurt.
I talked about last week. I got painter hurt. Painters hurt my car.
We got painter hurt.
Right.
Like dude, I got hurt from Best Buy.
Right.
They screwed me over.
Right. AT&T, man, they be stealing from me all the time.
Yeah,
right.
I'm saying we've got hurt all over the place.
Right.
So we have to be real careful to think that the church is microcosm of chaos, that all I do is get hurt there. Wait a minute. All I do is get hurt everywhere because we live in a fallen world.
Right. And people are a part of all of that.
It's just that our expectation of the church is that these are supposed to be godly people.
Holy godly people.
And if these are godly people, why would they do that to me?
Well, then let's talk about that.
Okay.
Because that's the part I think I get a little bit, as you can see, annoyed and frustrated by. Because
my sugar high is happy. Whitney's sugar high is...
Oh, I'm a straight toddler that's going to throw a fit and then crash and go to sleep.
Okay.
No, I think that's
and our pieces of pie were the same size, but as you can see, my body is much larger. My body is able to handle the sugar consumption better than hers. So as you see, I'm not even phased. But Whitney is going to quickly spiral from the sugar consumption.
Spool up and then spiral. I think what you said is so important, though. But we're all people and we all screw it up.
Yeah.
Are the people that hurt you willing to admit they screwed up? Are they willing to have a conversation with you? Are you ejecting from something without having a conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ejecting without saying all your words? If you're not willing to say all your words, well, then you're not following the biblical example of Matthew 18 of how we handle conflict. And therefore, is it really hurt or is it offense? Offense and hurt are not the same thing. Offense is something that you do. I think Stephen Furtick said we build a fence around ourselves, right? But real offense is like something we hold on to block out relationship from other people. I'm offended. I'm now not in relationship with you. But wait a minute, did they hurt you or did you just get offended and then leave without giving them the opportunity to even say anything or talk to you about it? And I think that's one I've seen so much lately that is just breaking my heart because I'm like, hey, I don't even think they know. I don't even think they know they hurt you. I don't even think they know. I don't know. I didn't even know that I did that to you. Oh man, if you would have given me the opportunity to even just hear your side of the story, and yet maybe due to COVID, maybe due to technology, maybe due to all kind of things, the world we live in now is so afraid to have conflict and a conversation that my fear is that we're going to live in a world of hurt and offended people, just hurting and offending other people. And what the real solution would be is just to have a conversation. So,
because if it's not dealt with, offenses only grow.
They only grow.
And so what people do is they get offended by a little tiny thing. Like the most extreme church example, right, is someone walked down the hall and pastor didn't say hi to me.
And yet we've heard that one 100 times.
And so that one offense that I think anybody as a leader know that you can't say hi to I can't say hi to 1,000 people every, like, well, it's not physiologically possible to say hi to every single person looking them dead, honest in the eye.
Yeah.
But that one little offense undealt with, it grows and grows and grows and grows into a monster in us that wants to eat us.
Yeah.
It wants to destroy us.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? I
just think before we get into even the conversation of hurt, it's the understanding.
Maybe what you're real mad about is something that you haven't talked to the person about.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't even know that they hurt you. And maybe they would apologize.
Yeah. And
maybe they're a punk and they never would.
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Yeah. And so I'm like, before we walk out around hurt, we have to be willing to have a conversation. Yes, sir.
There's another piece too with that, is the reality to accept our own. It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
Our own. I had a lot of church hurt from a situation, a lot in me.
Yeah.
And I talked to a buddy of mine, and he said, "Hey, Truston, have you processed your input in the situation?" And I was even mad at him in the moment when he said it. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "You stayed."
Yeah, you allowed yourself to be hurt.
You allowed yourself to be hurt.
Right.
You didn't do anything.
Right.
You didn't get yourself out of it because of why. And he was like, so have you had a honest moment of self-reflection of like why you stayed there so long? Have you had an honest moment of self-reflection about why you didn't do something earlier?
Or why you even were a part of
why you got into this situation. Like I'll talk to people, they get fired from a church. And then they walk away, they're so mad at the church that fired them. But have you taken like any, God, I feel like I want to be so gentle with it.
Have you taken
Have you taken any time to really examine like
you're part of it?
What was my part? Because maybe the other person is 80% wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, but have you done any work to admit you're 20? If not, then you're living in a delusion.
Well, it's relationship. I mean. And
so for a while, I was living in a delusion. That was all the other person's fault. Mm-hmm. It was mostly theirs.
Yeah, right. But there was still part that you held in it.
But the reason it got as bad as it did was on me.
Right.
Because I already knew it was not right. I already knew a change needed to happen.
Right.
I put a person on a pedestal higher than I should have. I made an idol out of another person that I shouldn't have.
Right.
I thought this person was going to bring me to success. And if I stay close to this person, I'm going to find success because of this relationship. And so I'm going to be disobedient to what God's speaking to me and stay close to this person.
Come on.
And if I stay close to them, then I can succeed. And that's why I got as hurt as I did. But until I could really understand that I allowed myself to stay somewhere unsafe because of bad motives in me, I was only blaming them.
Right.
And when you can stop only blaming what is the saying when you point one finger, you got three pointed back? You got one pointed at the devil. You got one pointed at the devil, and you got three pointed back at you. Some of it's like some churches on you.
What you just admitted, the underlying sin of what you just admitted, like if we're just being totally whatever, is just selfishness. Pride. Like selfishness is a root of all sin that we really experience. And if we would just allow ourselves to be unselfish for a minute, we talked about it before in the empathy list, put ourselves in their shoes, or even just allow ourselves for 1 minute to go, okay, I had some part to play in this. We could start to unravel that. What you said is so good that then caused more hurt. You allowed yourself to be hurt. And like sometimes we're responsible for our own hurt and we don't even realize our own hurt we caused on ourselves. And yet like relationship is two people. Marriage, Aaron and I have gotten in fights before where I am right. I know I'm right. But actually there's a piece of me that is 100% still wrong. Yeah. Like he might have been, 85% at fault in the argument, but the way I responded or the way I was handling it or the bitterness I was holding on to or the whatever, and vice versa. And in marriage, we have committed to be married forever. I ain't changing. We ain't going nowhere. None of that's happening. This is my man always and forever. And so in that, we have a choice to make. We can live miserable or we can meet each other halfway. And like in church hurt relationship, church hurt is because of some sort of relationship, whatever it is. It's not, you're not mad at the offering bucket. You're mad at the usher holding the offering bucket. You're mad at the person counting the money. You're mad at the pastor and the way he did the budget. Whatever you're mad at about the money, it doesn't have nothing to do with the offering bucket. It doesn't have nothing to do with the safe it's stored in. Like, you're not mad at that. You're mad at the person. And so the hurt comes to a relationship. And if you're committed, you and I, we talked about it before, are stayers. And we're people committed. Stayers.
Not starers.
No, correct.
Not how you get to a second story.
No, not stairs, climbing the ladder, but stayers. We stay put. We are planted. We are bloom where you're planted. Okay, watch me, I'm about to bloom. Like, that's who we are. And because of that, that's meant we had choices to make. We either had to be committed to work through relationship or be offended and cause offense everywhere we go.
You're from Oklahoma.
I am from Oklahoma.
What are the tornado like numbers?
Oh, like the F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. Like F6 is like, whoa, you're dead.
Okay, so F6 is like the progressively worse. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So like in church
F5
hurt.
F5 is probably the bad, but yeah.
In church hurt. Like F5's real bad.
Yeah.
But like you could have evacuated.
Or gone in the basement.
Yeah. Or you could have like parked your car in the garage, or you could have like put plywood over your windows. I'm saying like, we have to just admit. Or
move to Texas.
We have to just admit. Our part that if we stayed in the storm, or I don't know.
No, absolutely.
At least that's what I had to learn. A big piece for me.
Absolutely, it's huge, and then the willingness to repair, the willingness to hear them out, the willingness to, and you've done that in the relationship you're talking about. It's not going to be reciprocated. Not right now. Not unless Jesus shifts. Not unless but what you could have done is then decided, well, every relationship is going to be that way for me, and held on to that, and then you and I would not be able to do what we do.
Not just me and you, me and anybody.
Well,
and that's why people in ministry say they're so lonely, is because they got hurt someplace. And then because they got hurt someplace, they're going to get hurt every place.
Correct. No, but I'm saying in the dynamic of closeness of relationship, it would have been very easy for you to put that same offense on me and vice versa. But we had to determine, okay, if we're not going to be held back, if we are going to go into the more that God has for us, have I ever offended you?
Yeah.
100%, I have.
She cut herself a bigger piece of pie than she gave me. Okay, let's talk about some stories of people that we know that have been hurt and have ejected.
Okay.
And then let's tell some of our stories.
Okay.
And I think that we tell our stories chronologically.
Okay.
Because I think that they start young and we don't even know how they tie in.
Oh, I see.
Some origin story.
Oh, man.
So like I remember a guy who he's left the church mad. He was on our safety team. And this guy I had went to breakfast with him a handful of times.
Yeah.
And I'd went and seen 2 movies with this guy because he just was always asking me. And then one day he comes to my office and he's upset and he tells me he's leaving the church because while he's working as a safety team, I'm not saying hello to him or good morning or spending any time with him. And so I talked to him about it. And I was like, well, hey man, I feel like we're buddies. Like, I feel like we've hung out and that on Sunday, you understand that all I'm doing is walking past you onto the stage and that's not really a moment for me to like lock in and really focus.
Yeah, I'm working right then.
I'm working, mode. You're working. It's not like a what's up, bro moment.
Yeah.
And so I would like dab him up or like, what's up, bro? You know, and
I remember rude and ignoring
no,
him.
It wasn't rude.
You weren't stopping and having conversation.
He was so upset at me that he left the church. And as he's telling me he's leaving, he's saying, I'm not mad at you. But then he starts crying and he has tears running down his face and he's looking me dead in the face. He's like, no, I'm not mad. I just think that you're not doing a good job. And so I can't be here anymore. And I started asking him some questions and it was all dad stuff.
Yeah.
It was all his dad didn't see him. And now he feels like I don't see him. And he left.
Yeah.
And he left the church. We had another guy. We were doing some renovations on this building, and for our board, they wanted for us to provide for them the budget of what the renovations were going to cost. And so we had 3 or 4 different companies give us bids.
Yeah.
One of those guys was in our church, and his bid was substantially higher than the other bids. And so we didn't go with him.
Right.
He was offended.
Very offended.
Very offended. He left the church and took his whole family with him.
Yeah.
We had somebody else. This one just happened. This is the knife that's still in my back. We had somebody say that they think that I spend too much money on props that I use in my sermons, and that it's not good management of the church resources.
Right.
So they left the church.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had somebody tell me that they weren't going to give in the building campaign because at the last church they went to, this is like 15 years ago, the last church they went to, they sold a car and gave some of the money to the building campaign, and then the pastor embezzled the money.
Yeah.
So because that happened way back then, they're not going to be obedient to what God's called.
Yeah.
I mean, like, dude, I've got stories for days. Days. This guy that I mentioned, he was a youth pastor, and I don't know what happened, but he quit his youth pastor job or got fired. I don't know what happened. And now he doesn't go to church. He doesn't take his kids to church. He's backslidden from his relationship with God.
Yeah.
I know another guy that felt a call to ministry, was in Bible college doing all the things, but maybe wasn't as, God, this is heavy, but maybe wasn't as talented as he thought he was.
Right. Maybe needed some correction and redirection
needed
in his
some
life.
some more training than he thought he did. He thought he was like currently Stephen Furtick preacher,
right?
But like was really a far way away from that. And so he didn't see like ministry success in man's eyes. And so he just quit.
Yeah.
And now he just stands from a distance and throws stones at a bunch of churches.
Yeah.
Hurt, man.
Yeah, it's sad. No, it's so sad. And I think it's no respecter of gender, of like age, of life choice, like all the things. We've had people offended and leave over small things. Had a lady like literally say, I'm counting the amount of minutes it takes for people to say hi to me in the lobby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, have you said hi first? And she's like, well, no, I'm just standing here timing them. And I'm like, well, maybe your face doesn't look very inviting, but offended that they couldn't be connected. Other people who, wouldn't go to any of the available opportunities that we have around them and then say, oh, I just no one wants to reach out to me. Well, no one knows you yet, and
we've had people that they aren't in a life group. They don't serve on a ministry team. They come once a month, they come late, they leave early, and then they go and have surgery.
Yeah.
And then they email the church 2 months after they had surgery and they say they can't believe that a church wouldn't take care of them and like how a church should love them. And it was like, we didn't even know you were going to have surgery.
Yeah.
Like how you have no community here. You didn't even email us.
Yeah.
And so, but then they eject. And what makes me the saddest, is that they take their kids with them.
100%.
They take their family with
100%.
them.
Yeah.
And so then now these kids are pulled out of real godly community because of this hurt.
Right. No,
now we're talking some of these hurts. If you're listening, we're not belittling.
No, that's what I was. Yeah,
the reality of like deep, real church hurt.
Yeah.
So we're not trivializing it. I know that a bunch of these examples sound stupid. They're not all at that level.
No, because
they start there.
Right. They usually start there.
Like these people that left for a stupid reason, they probably have a deeper story that we just don't know.
Well, and what you mentioned the person like who the pastor embezzled. Like we have people that we know who, got taken advantage of, that they got manipulated into a situation or into a season of serving, where they were given hours of their life and being told that, it wasn't good enough. They were being manipulated by a promise of a paycheck that never came, or a promise of some things that never were intended by that person to give to them, that now are not walking in connection with God. And so like, there's real hurt. And I think for you and I, we talked about it, I feel this deep responsibility of like, for you and I, even growing up in it, it took us a long time to even identify it, that we were hurt and that we had been hurt in that place because we so loved the church. But yet, as we're unpacking this idea, I feel this great responsibility to make sure that to the next generation, to others that are around us, that they understand you can be deeply hurt. Identify the hurt, point at it. That was bad, that was wrong, that wasn't right. But we can then still operate in all that God has for us, and we can still find safety and relationship that's good, and find a new way of doing something. And our hurt can either hinder us or help us step into what's next. And we can either get so hurt and hindered by it that we just stop and we don't push into anymore. Or we can say, hey, I'm going to look at this, I'm going to evaluate it, I'm going to forgive it and let it go, but I'm going to use it as an opportunity to teach me how to do better for the next generation, how to do better for the others around me, how to do better for the next relationship I'm in or the next church I'm a part of. And I think that's a piece that to me is really important, because like I said, you and I now have been able to work through our church hurt of people who hurt us, said horrible things about us, lied and manipulated about us, all kinds of things. But what we could have done was use that as weapons against each other. But what we've done instead is said, hey, I'm gonna put my sword on the table, you put yours, and let's figure out together how to help build a healthy place where people can come. We're still people. I'm still gonna mess it up. I'm still gonna eat too much sugar, talk too much, say too many words. But then how do we help build a place and allow for some conversation to help people heal and then step in more? Yeah, super good.
We've got to just be transparent about where we are and what we're feeling, and then identify that that person who hurt me last time is not who is standing in front of me today.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is that your dad hurt you so badly that when you look at me, all you can see is him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your mom hurt you, and we've had this with some of our staff.
Right.
People that come in, they have a really bad relationship with their mother, and what they do is they put their mom's face on your body, and then any words that you say hurt them, has nothing to do with you or how you're saying it, and everything to do with their previous hurt.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They had another masculine figure in their life say something that really hurt them, and so then when I say something and talk to them, they hear it as a nuclear bomb, but it didn't come out of my mouth that way. So what I'm saying is we have to really evaluate what happened.
Yeah.
What was happening? Am I turning somebody into a monster that, I don't know what's lesser than a monster. Am I making them a monster and all they are is just like a leader without enough, without like all the skills
Was it
yet?
just a mistake?
Yeah.
Was it just an oversight? Was it just... I have walked by people in the hallway that I could have said hi to and didn't. Like, that's a silly one.
Or what are the other extenuating circumstances?
Yeah.
Like...
Absolutely.
Are they a monster, or was there just a lot going on and you didn't get what you think you should have gotten?
Yeah, we didn't see the whole perspective. Maybe we didn't know the whole story. And I think there's some things there that we have to be willing to fight through. But bro, we live in a world that is really comfortable right now with being offended and with ejecting and canceling.
Feelings are now truth.
Right. And if I felt uncomfortable, then I'm allowed to say that that was an unsafe environment. If I felt hurt in the moment, I'm allowed to say that you caused me harm. And we have to decide as believers in Jesus, that's our context, that like, hey, no, I'm not going to live like that. I'm not going to be held down and be crutched in the rest of my life by offense. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. And so people are going to hurt each other. You've hurt me, I've hurt you, but do I love you more than the offense? Do I believe in what God's called us to do together more than the hurt moment that we walked through? Can I let it go and actually allow myself to be selfless in a moment and go, hey, God, are you still able to do what you want to do here? Oh, yeah. Okay. These are just people. We're all going to screw it up. I love you. I'm sorry. Let's move forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think what you and I so are seeing, I mean, we've had people that were, especially young people that are like serving and a part, and we say it 100, but it happens constantly. I got their name on a list about to give them a job. We hire somebody else and they get offended and leave because I hired somebody else, and I'm like, oh, you don't know that you were next. You don't know that literally I was going to call you. This actually just happened.
This literally just happened. We had a girl's name on the whiteboard in my office, and we're literally like about to schedule the meeting to offer her a position. But she got so mad that we hired, how many weeks before?
Like 3.
Like 3 weeks before, we're able to set up a meeting with her for this other position that she would have liked more than the one that
wasn't the right fit. And
that she got so bent out of shape that it wasn't her, that she just left the church.
But didn't have a real conversation, had a fake God's moving us on with the person, not even the person that she was like directly connected to, just talked and said, I'm out, and then left, and pulled the people around her who were deeply involved and connected, and God had been doing so much in their life, and said, we're out of here. And now, whatever, I believe that God has grace and he's going to take care of them where they are. But it was heartbreaking because, wait a minute, why didn't you just let a conversation be had? And I think for this, I'm nervous for this next generation or this new generation after COVID, after all the screens, after I don't have to talk to anybody in real life for 2 years, that we're going to start living in this perpetual offense and ejection of like, I can just hide behind my screen.
It's because, and I know it's going to sound cliche if you are more church people, but when you don't guard your heart, it's super easy to just get offended. This girl was unable to guard her heart. It just makes me sad.
It makes me super sad. And
was unable to guard her heart for 3 weeks. Or for a short amount of time.
Which honestly revealed her heart, and then...
Well, no, thank God.
Thank God, because what would have happened had she worked here? But it makes me sad when we allow, because it's what you said before, it probably started as a small thing. And if we could have just talked it out, had a little whatever, dealt with the offense. But instead now, and man, we've seen that. In the last 7 years, I've seen it more than 7 times. I've seen it a bunch of times, where people just before they're about to step into more, something silly ejects them completely.
Something that we went to a conference called C3 at
Ed Young Fellowship
Church. Yeah. And Pastor Ed Young said something, man, it's been 7-8 years ago.
Yeah.
He said that if you fire a staff member, you can expect that 5 of the people that were closest to them will also leave the church in 12 months.
Within a year, yeah.
And I was like, man, that's stupid. That's not true. That's not going to happen
we'll talk
here.
To them all. We'll make them all
I'm good relationally. I'm going to deal with it before every time.
Yeah.
But it's not always the 5 that you would think.
No, right.
We used to remember we would make the list of the 5 and try to have a conversation, and it's another 5.
Yeah. Now we don't waste our time.
And so what I would say to the tug team is guard yourself from being one of those 5.
Come on. Because
all you are, if you are one of those 5, all you are is collateral damage of somebody else's unguarded heart. Somebody else's unguarded heart.
Somebody else's offense.
Who comes and says a bunch of junk to you about how past this and the church that, and they're just pulling some crap to try to get people on their team because they're mad. You listen to their offense, then you leave, you're going to miss something that God has for you.
Yeah, but you know what I will say is the greatest thing is when we see people do the opposite. Yeah. And we have lately. I've seen a few that are willing to fight through it.
Yeah.
And what I wish...
And objectively look at what happened.
Yes, what I wish those who don't.
Not emotionally.
Right. what I wish those who won't deal with their church hurt, what I wish they could do is see the other side. It's hard to have a conflict conversation. It's hard to deal with some of the junk that's inside you. That's not an easy thing to do. It's hard to guard your heart daily when there's voices and other things around you. It's hard to let go. How many relationships have we had to let go of that were no longer serving us?
Yeah.
It's hard to let that go. But what I wish people could see is on the other side of that. The flourishment, whatever. What God will allow, what flourishes in your life. And right now I'm thinking of two people that I've watched over the last year stick it out, really walk through it, deal with their own heart stuff in their own heart, and not allow someone else's offense to get on them. And I'm just watching them not just walk but run into so much goodness that God's had for them. And I'm like, thank God that they didn't allow themselves to be collateral damage, and yet they decided what I need for me is more important than anything else. Yeah,
it's really good.
Okay.
We've spent a lot of time at the front end, more than I thought that we would, but I think that I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough because things are hard and people do hurt our feelings.
Absolutely.
You know? I think that I've talked to so many people and heard so many people say the phrase to me about how they were taken advantage of. Or, taken advantage of, or like I burned out. And people would talk about how like the church worked me so much and they had me up there every night of the week and they didn't pay me. And there were all these hours. And there's a very real balance that we have to be aware of. Like, were we taken advantage of?
Right.
Were we misused? Many times, yes.
Yeah.
But the self-awareness piece is, were we actually healthy in our relationship with God?
Right.
Were we abiding? Were we resting?
God, you said it.
Were we guarding our heart?
Right.
Were we
using those
praying?
people for our own promotion?
Were we praying?
Right.
Or were we only employees?
Right.
And so every time someone will tell me that they're burned out, I'm like, me too. I was too. And half of it was my leader's fault.
Yeah.
But the other half was mine.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing the stuff that I should have done.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I was not managing my stress properly.
Yeah.
I wasn't guarding my heart, so now I was bitter. I wasn't having healthy conflict with coworkers, so now I'm walking around all bent out of shape.
Right.
I'm not resting. I'm dealing with my stress with cheeseburgers, and so I don't feel healthy.
Yeah.
So So yes, I know this church hurt. So yes, some of it's on us. Some of it's on them.
Well, our self-awareness, if we don't have it, self-awareness allows us to have empathy for other people. If we're unwilling to be self-aware, then it's very difficult to be empathetic towards others, because I'm going to put myself in their shoes. But if I'm unwilling to admit that I could ever have any fault or be aware of my own self, then it makes it very difficult for me to actually put myself in their shoes. And so when I'm able to go, yeah, I screwed it up, but then I have grace for myself because I love myself. Oh, then I can have grace for them too, because, okay, they screwed it up too. I've screwed it up. They've screwed it up. We're all people. And no, man, God, you said it's so good. The idea that what is my part in it? What am I responsible for? And then how can I be a part of this solution rather than just adding to the problem? I think we just want to put the badge of honor of church hurt. But if we could all just say, hey, we've all been there. We've all got church hurt. We've all been hurt. Because why? We've all dealt with people, and people hurt people. That's just life. Then we don't have to have this. It's cool. It's become this cool thing that I've been taken advantage of. Golly, I can't tell you how many times I've had somebody say to me, I feel like they're taking advantage of me. And then I say, well, have you talked to them about it? Have you told them I don't want to do that?
You're asking me to do too many things.
I would not like to carry that weight, and they'll say, oh no, I haven't told them that. I'm like,
maybe you're feeling taken advantage of, but you said yes every time.
Right. If you're saying yes, they don't know that you wish you could say no. They can't read your mind.
Now, there's a difference though.
No, there is.
If someone's being lied to and manipulated.
Oh, 100%.
Because you might have said, I can't do this anymore. This is too much. It's not what I'm called to do or whatever. And the person says, well, just do it for another 3 months because I'm going to pay you. I had somebody tell me that I was going to be getting paid $100,000 within a year.
Right.
I've been getting paid $0,
Right.
But I'm about to be making $100,000.
That's quite a jump. Right.
And then I'm told that for 5 years.
Right.
Hey man, it's right around the corner. It's right around the corner. But we just have to do this other thing or spend this other money or add this other thing. And so for a long time, I was the donkey with somebody on my back holding the rope with or the string with the carrot dangling in front of me. But the carrot they were dangling was a mirage, a lie.
Yeah.
And so like if someone's lying to you and it becomes apparent over multiple lies that this is not truthful, then you've got to ask yourself, okay, is it time for me to get out of this relationship?
Right.
Guard my heart. Don't get mad. Don't say every pastor out there is a liar and a manipulator. No. That one might have been, but not every single one is.
I was going to say, how do you then deal with it, heal from it? Because you've allowed yourself to heal from it. The truth is you would not be where you are today. I would not be where I am today if we had not actually healed from the first deep hurt. So people got real hurt. Yeah. They've been working at a church and never given a Sunday off. Their son graduated from college and they got told they were the worst people for taking that Sunday off to go to their son's graduation.
Yeah.
People have been
missing mom's funerals and all kind of stuff.
Manipulated.
Right.
People have been talked bad about and promised the world. And these are real things that have happened to people by other people in the church. So it's church hurt, but it's people hurt, whatever it is. How do you actually heal from it and allow yourself to continue moving forward? Because it's really hard to step back into a similar painful situation.
You've got to admit that you experienced trauma. This is the hardest part for me, is that I was unwilling to call my church hurt, to admit that it hurt me.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be stronger than what...
Jesus superhero.
Yeah, I wanted to be Jesus superhero. So admit that the trauma happened. Admit that it hurt you. Then you have to get scary vulnerable somewhere.
Yeah.
If you can cry in front of no one, then you're not going to heal. Scary, vulnerable.
Like real.
Real, scary, vulnerable, honest, all the feelings, all the emotion.
All the thoughts.
All the thoughts.
Yeah.
To a safe place that has wisdom.
Right.
Not to just the lady who cuts your hair. Sorry, Tiffany. You can tell it's Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiffany's worth telling.
I'm saying not just a rando person, but like a guy, a person who loves you beyond the situation.
A person that you know.
Like for me, I had to talk to somebody who didn't work at the church that I'm not crying, I'm choking. Talk to someone who's not on staff at the church you're at. Get a very different perspective that you can be ugly honest with, right?
Yeah.
Then you need to either go to counseling or seek counsel to process some of those things.
Yeah.
And then you have to really repair your relationship with God. Because every time someone burns out, it's because they got no oil in the engine.
Right.
And so you've got to fast or pray or spend some real I'm not talking about 15-minute, what's the Bible verse of the day on my Bible app. I'm talking about real, abiding, get close to Jesus, healing time. He's the healer only if you lay down on his table.
Come on.
That you've got to get some time to heal.
It's true. You said, well,
a lot.
Now, you just said a lot of things.
Sorry.
So now, no, it's fine. I was trying to...
Transparency, vulnerability, counseling.
You got to get vulnerable in front of someone that may say something that ticks you off. Like, if you are, like a good gauge is this a person I'm vulnerable with who always agrees with me? Do they always just let me cry? Because sometimes they're wise people, but they're unwilling to push a little. They're unwilling to, the Bible tells us that, like, wounds from a friend can be trusted. Yeah. But some of us have friends that are not as good at wounding us. They love us. They're going to coddle just because they know we've been through hurt. But, like, the vulnerability, it's not just are they spiritually sound and are they full of wisdom, but is it possible they're going to say something that will check me?
Do they have a pair?
That is a way to say that for sure.
Do they have courage? Do they have boldness? Do
Absolutely.
They have willingness?
Are they willing to challenge me?
So I don't know how long we've been going or how much long in our temporary. We've been going 50 minutes, 55 minutes. Okay, this is gonna have to be a 2-episoder. It's gonna have to be a 2-episoder.
No, yeah.
But I'll tell one story. And the next time we're shooting a podcast.
Okay.
We're going to talk about some of our hurt progression.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of the death wounds that people are suffering from started in fine arts.
Oh, God.
Started as
when
young.
When you said we took longer in the intro, I was like, what? But I forgot that's where we're going.
I got a lot more.
So, no, we got a lot more to talk about there.
So point 2 to come. But back to this part about having a counsel that will really be there. I was reeling in hurt years ago.
Yeah, it's true.
Reeling in hurt.
Yeah.
But I was loyal to the person hurting me.
Oh, right.
And defending and not admitting that
this is why you're still in the hurt.
And not admitting what was happening was not good. But thank God, Rachel and I had real community.
Yeah.
Thank God that Rachel and I had real community who loved us more than my title.
Oh, for sure.
And so we were all out at dinner one night, and I would rarely, if ever, talk about my job at the church because these people went to the church. We would talk about Aaron's job and Rachel's job and Whitney's job at the mall and all these other places.
Right.
And my community saw me not okay, saw me burning out, saw me spiraling.
Spinning the what's it called?
Circle in the drain.
Circle in the drain.
Saw me at dinner not there. I'm not there. And y'all started asking me questions.
Yeah, poking at you.
Poking at me, asking me questions about what was going on in the church and what was going on in me. And I remember defending the organization and leadership adamantly as I had been. Until there was a moment it felt like you guys were asking me so many questions that I knew things were being mismanaged, that it felt like I looked down at myself and I saw holes. Y'all had shot so many holes in me because I was standing in front of the things that were not going well, trying to protect it. Y'all shot me full of so many holes that it was like you could see through me to what was actually going on in me. You know what my next line is, but
what? No, go.
And so somebody at the table.
I just want a point of clarification after.
And somebody at the table after dressing the situation down.
But the point of clarification is it was not dressing the situation down. This is not go to dinner and talk bad about the church, bad about people.
No.
That is not what it was being. It was holes at you about your not okayness and your what was happening to you and what was being caused in you because of what was happening to you. It was not just sitting around. And I just think that's a point. It was
not like, man, the worship's not good.
Right.
Where's a discipleship class? It was not that kind of stuff.
I just think it's an important point of this is, hey, you're not okay. You haven't been okay. These are what I know in your life you've been walking through. Let's talk about how that's being handled for you as a human being, not as how the worship's going.
And so a pivotal moment. We're at this restaurant. We're at PF Chang's in Arlington. And
brown booth in the corner.
And somebody at the table says to me, Truston, that person is not a good leader.
Right.
But I'd been saying this person was the greatest leader I knew for 15 years.
Right.
Wait a minute. What do you mean they're not a good leader? And I looked down at all the things I was defending that I knew were not right. And I said, I had to go to the bathroom. And so I got up and I left the table and I went to the bathroom. And I grabbed onto the sink and I had a existential crisis. I had a pivotal shift breaking moment.
Well, we say it. There were scales that were like fell from your eyes that God allowed in the moment the hand of grace to be removed and for you to see, oh dang.
And Aaron came into the bathroom and saw me weeping in the bathroom, which is not, I think that's the thing that girls do in their bathrooms. It's not a thing that dudes do in their bathrooms. And Aaron hugged me and prayed for me and took me back to the table. That moment could have been my shift into deconstructing the church.
Absolutely.
That moment could have led to the hurt in me pulling me out of what God had called me to do. I was so mad and right at what I was mad at.
And hurt deep.
And justified. And a community of people
we're justified with you. Yeah.
And I could have allowed that moment for the devil to come in and get a foothold of my mind and twist me out of the thing God called me to.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing that, rethink it.
No, it's so good. It's so important.
I know you've been hurt.
Yeah.
Me too. We'll get into that more next episode.
No, yeah.
We'll get into it more next episode. But don't let yourself get twisted out of the thing that God's called you to do.
Right.
Because somebody out there's a jerk.
Yeah, and if you're at a point of decision in this moment, like hold on, like give yourself until the next episode for us to talk through, because one piece of that is like in the midst of the revelation of like, oh man, this is not what it needs to be. This is not healthy. This is not okay. There's wisdom in how you step out, step forward, step back, there's wisdom that we now have that we even didn't have 5 years ago in how to properly, because I can hear the questions. So do I stay at the same church? Do I confront the leader? Do I talk to them? Do I try to, even if that hurt was years ago, do I try to now go have a conversation now to try to heal some stuff? And there's answers to all those questions that we'll do next. It depends on the person.
Yeah, yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah, and we'll get to some of those questions in our next episode as we talk through some of our own stories. Yeah. But if you're at a moment of decision, just hold on.
Yeah.
Give yourself this week to pray. Give yourself this time to really get some new fresh oil in you, and allow God to speak to you. But man, thanks for being vulnerable. I know that was like serious to be that vulnerable, but thank you.
No, thank you.
And next week we'll just get super vulnerable, because we've all been hurt because we're humans. Yeah. And we've dealt with people, and we've been hurt in church. I've got my stories, you've got yours, and we all do. And so what you said is so good. Don't allow anyone or anything to steal what God has for you. And we're in this together. So let's do it together.
I don't do this very often, but I want to pray for the audience.
Do it.
God, thank you for loving us. And I know that there's people that are watching this episode that have experienced a lot of hurt.
Yeah.
They've been hurt. People have done them wrong or lied or taken advantage or manipulated, or maybe worse.
Yeah.
Maybe abused. And God, I ask that you just begin to do what only you can. We with our words can do very little compared to what you can do with your love. And so Holy Spirit, I ask that you would go and just begin to heal some wounds and mend some hearts. And Lord, for any of the men or women that are listening that are feeling beat up and broken and all that you would let them know that you love them.
Yeah.
And though man failed them, you won't.
It's true.
You'll stick closer than a brother. You will never leave us or abandon us. Father, whether someone was hurt as a pastor on a paid staff, or whether someone was hurt as a volunteer or an attendee, no matter the barometer of the hurt, God, I ask that you would just allow this conversation this week and of our next week's episode, that you would allow this to start a process of healing. It's not just a one-time, I'm immediately okay.
No,
it's an onion. It's an onion.
It's an onion.
And I ask that you help them to unpack it so that they can step into the more. I don't want them to step out. The kingdom needs them.
That's true.
The kingdom needs them. Thank you, Lord, in your name.
Amen.
Amen.
Yep. And if you're watching it, it's not by accident. And if you know someone that needs to hear it,
that's good.
Send it to them.
Send it.
Yeah.
Copy, paste it, send it, text it. Get this message out. Get ready for next week.
Love y'all.
Love y'all.